So I tried not to ever interact with Eli Monty again because when I joined his Discord, he said I was quote harassing him. But then he decided to start making videos on me again, and this one was so bad that I had to come out of retirement and make a rebuttal on it. And I will be trying to go over every point he makes. By the way, his video is titled "ANCAPs are crypto fascists." I don't even think he knows what fascism is. I guess he thinks that if he disagrees with it, it's fascism. The majority of people in the South thought slavery was moral back before the Civil War. Obviously, we can all agree that was a terrible opinion, but it was.
Okay, so Minder likes to do this thing that I like to call comfort arguments, okay? Oh yeah, so like I said about comfort arguments. So Minder likes to use these things that I like to call comfort arguments. So they're arguments that he always falls back on because he knows that it'll be very hard for his opponent to argue against them. Or at least he knows that at first glance, like, it's a way for him to kind of, like, you know, seize control of the conversation, because you'll be stunned by the fact that somebody just brought up, like, slavery or sexual assault in a conversation that in many cases has nothing to do with those things. I mean, yeah, slavery does have something to do with democracy, but, like, it wasn't I would make the argument that because Minder's used this on me before when he was talking about, like, you know, tyranny of the majority, which I believe he gets to later on in this video. I would argue that, like, yeah, you could use slavery can be justified in just about, like, every system. Like, as long as especially a system where there is a hierarchy of, like, the rich and powerful versus the poor and underprivileged, there's a very good chance that slavery is going to take place. But I would argue that it's not until democracy is involved, it's not until the people's voices are considered, that things like slavery get eradicated, or at the very least mitigated, I guess.
So this is the first point I want to go over. Now, if you notice, he doesn't necessarily refute my point. He just states that slavery can be justified in any system. Not necessarily. My ideal society does not allow that. My society I advocate for is no coercion at all, which means no slavery. But democracy does allow that. And he also concedes that slavery would be allowed under democracy. That's the majority opinion. Before the gay rights activists, the majority of people thought being gay was a mental disorder. And now we see that as false. You see, more and more individuals can believe a certain way.
Right, so what we should do then is we should ensure that we are continually adapting as a species, or not even as a species, as a society. That we are continually adapting, continually growing, continually progressing, continually learning new things as a society, and that we should be welcoming to these new findings and be welcoming to new discoveries instead of just, you know, shunning out these discoveries and engaging in a form of anti-intellectualism.
This doesn't really refute my point at all. First, it does not matter if people are intelligent or not, because the point I'm trying to make is that the amount of people does not determine if something is right or wrong. And plus, I could use this logic to justify a monarch. Guys, if we teach the king to do good things and make sure he doesn't hurt anyone, it could work. Like, you see how that doesn't really make any sense? This means that if you try to have a say in what the state should do, it ultimately does not matter if the majority votes against what you want. So the government is—
Exactly. Because, say it with me, class, there are people like this guy with very bad and shitty opinions. Exactly.
So right here, he just conceded that the majority can rule you if you have shitty opinions. Just wanted to throw that in there. It is not controlled by everyone, but the majority of the people. A better way to help people understand is putting it like this. In a monarch, one person holds all the power. The system would allow him to do whatever he wants. A lot of people would agree that is tyranny. But when you switch to a democracy, all you do is shift the power from one individual to the majority of the people. The tyranny is still there. It's just more people have a say in this tyranny. Now—
No, I don't agree with that, and here's why. So, the thing about democracy, or at least the thing about a true democracy where everybody's voice is heard and what have you, everybody can, like, you know, throw their ideas out there, and we all can, like, vote on whether or not we like that idea or, you know, what have you. But the problem with that, well, not the problem. The thing with that is people like Minder will only say tyranny of the majority is only stated by people who are sore losers, basically. Their ideas have been considered. It's just that they're dog shit, so everybody said no. That's why. Like, people like Minder, if they had their way,
Again, he does not attack my point. He just commits an ad hominem fallacy. My point is that the difference between a monarch and a democracy is that the power shift from one person to the majority of the people, and how there is still tyranny, it's just shifted to more people. And all he says is that people who say this are quote sore losers. That is it. There's no refutation at all. Well, if the majority wanted to kill the minority, technically democracy allows that. Now, a lot of people might say that the system might have a constitution in place.
So, technically, yes, he is correct. But the thing that I would, the thing that I would suppose is that when everyone's voice is considered, that kind of shit really does not happen. Like in lots of communal societies, or societies that have shifted away from capitalism and what have you. A lot of it is just togetherness, or where not even just shifting away from capitalism, but being more democratic, and where everyone's thoughts and feelings are considered and what have you. Shit like that actually does not happen. But shit like that does happen happens a lot more in totalitarian societies, totalitarian far-right societies, where, fascist societies, that kind of shit is more likely to happen.
There he just conceded that democracy allows murder to happen, and he wonders why I'm against it. And Eli, even if there were more voices in it, it does not matter. Look what happened in US history with slavery. The South fought hard for it. They genuinely believed slavery was a moral thing to have and voted for it. And Eli, if you react to this, don't try to dodge my point and how I use slavery as an example. Attack it instead of complaining how I used it. For example, the Second Amendment was meant to keep a power balance between the state and the citizens. Except over time, people who are anti-gun have been trying so hard to change it. From the wording of the Second Amendment.
Wait, no, you can't. No, don't misrepresent things like. Don't misrepresent gun control too in a video. No, dude, it's not. People, listen. If you actually think that your Magnum is gonna protect you when the SWAT team is knocking your door down and they have shields and body armor and all kind of shit to, protect themselves from you, and that, makes them pretty much a mini military, just throw the gun away. Just throw it away. You're clearly delusional.
So again, he does not even attack my point. I see a trend. But the point he essentially made was that since these people have more guns than you, we should just not have guns. What logic is that? He's actually giving a reason why we should be able to have guns. Because the state has quote shields and body armor and they are invading your house, we should be able to defend ourselves in the most efficient way possible. Don't you think, Eli?
He was like, people shouldn't say that the government can just steamroll us because they can't. It's like, no, the government can. Do you have access to drone striking technology or drone strike technology? Do you have access to that? No? Then shut up, okay? If the government wanted to, they could snipe me right now, and I would have no say in it. I would have no way of protecting myself. Even oh my god, let me go grab. Oh, I'm already dead. I'm already freaking dead. This whole idea that a lot of people like to bring up, that our guns protect us from the government, is a false one. Motherfucker, do you have planes? Do you have planes with guns and shit on them? Do you have tanks? Do you have armored vehicles? No, you don't? Well, guess what? The government can steamroll you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So because these groups of individuals are more powerful than us, we should just not be able to defend ourselves? Eli, I believe we should be able to have drone technology, quote, planes with guns on them, and tanks. The worst part about it is, even if you do not want to participate, even if you do not want to be a part of the government, it will still be shoved down your throat. Which I guess that is in every kind of system, but it just adds insult to injury by saying you have a say in it. I think this picture...
But again, 4 of 5 citizens love democracy. Okay, but why doesn't this guy like democracy? Again, what's the context here? Why are they beating him? Are they beating him because he's a slave and he's deemed as subhuman, which is wrong? Or are they beating him because this guy is the ruler who was oppressing these 4 people for generation upon generation?
I love how he's trying to add context to try justifying the person getting beat in the picture. Eli, the point of the picture was to show that you will still be a part of the system even if you say no. The point flew right over your head. Why do we view it as this god? Well, I believe Murray Rothbard describes it perfectly. In his book, Anatomy of the State, it describes how in democracy, the phrase "we are..."
This is an appeal to authority fallacy, which Minder also accused me of in one of our many talks about abortion. This is an appeal to authority fallacy.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
What? How is citing a book that best sums up what I am trying to say an appeal to authority fallacy? Do you even know what appeal to authority fallacy is? An appeal to authority fallacy is a common type of fallacy or an argument based on unsound logic. When writers or speakers use appeal to authority, they are claiming that something must be true because it is believed by someone who is said to be an authority on the subject. Authority A asserts that X is true, therefore X is true. You see, I'm not trying to say that my argument is correct because Murray Rothbard wrote it in his book. I am simply stating that he sums up best what I'm trying to say. Visual and
Maybe that's because here in the US, we don't actually have really any say on anything while still being wrapped in the guise of democracy. The United States isn't a true democracy. Like, that's why people really have no influence or no say. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, again, it's as though he just takes context and just throws it out the window every time. Every time, with every video, every topic, he just takes context and nuance and just says, nope, that doesn't mean anything. That's not important at all. Get rid of it.
Eli, I'm not talking about the US, I'm talking about democracy in general. I explain whether this concept is moral or immoral. It doesn't necessarily matter the context. For example, if I were to say all murder is wrong, I'm not talking about in specific situations, I'm talking about murder itself.
God damn.
In the state. Now a lot of people are going to be coming down my throat asking me what's the solution? Tyranny of the minority? Well, I'll be talking about that in a completely different video. If you guys did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate.
He did not talk about this in another video, by the way. I don't think he ever uploaded a video about like what his alternative is to democracy. And it's because I don't think he actually has a set in stone good alternative to democracy.
No, I just never got around to making the video. If you actually want to know how my ideal society works, I would recommend reading Chaos Theory. It's a great short read, and it would explain how my ideal society would work. You should give it a read, Eli. Might be too much for you though.
In my honest to God opinion, if you are against democracy, you are a fascist. If you are against democracy, you are in favor of fascism. Because it's just one or the other. Either the people have a say, or somebody else is oppressing them. And you can't sit here and say that we all just live as individuals, because states are inevitable. People lack guidance. The average person at least, the average citizen lacks guidance. The average citizen lacks direction. So they need, I hate to say this, but many people do need people to tell them what to do because they don't know what to do.
Wow, this man literally admitted that if you are considered lacking guidance, that we should be able to coerce you. And he calls me the fascist. That's pretty much the end of the video. Also, I meant to post this like a month ago, but I got really busy. If you guys enjoyed, please like and subscribe. This is also my final video. It was fun. Thanks for everything. I'll see y'all later.